As we begin this meeting, which is being recorded, we remind ourselves that the battle to get here was well fought. It was fought by our ancestors. It was fought in the vision of hope and dreaming and survival. And I want to invite everyone to imagine that bundle of things that you are holding, that maybe you carry with you every day, that heavy, heavy bundle. And I want you to imagine yourself bringing that to a place and setting it down for now. And as you step away from that place where you've put that bundle, come here to us, sit at the table with us, and think of the community that you are serving and what is best for those people, those faces, the ones that you love, and the ones that you want a better future for. Those 7 generations out from us. What can we do here and now to make their lives easier? I want you to take another deep breath and let it go with a sigh. I'll hand it back to Felicia.
Thank you, Jasmine. We're going to move to our next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes. I was able to reach out to our former chair, Usman, and learned that he has yet to receive the June meeting minutes. They are missing. We do have access to the Citizens Portal AI article that includes a link to the recording for the full meeting. And what we can do with that is watch the video to take notes from that. We have up to 3 commission meetings to be able to approve the minutes. So we're going to need to table the June meeting minutes to our next meeting to be approved so that we can actually access the meeting minutes. We'll do the same for October, and so we will table those 2 items to our next agenda. And I want to welcome the folks that are in the room today. We've got some community members, so thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. And we also, of course, welcome all our commissioners who took the time to be here today. To manage this meeting time, we're going to keep meeting discussions on track and to ensure we stay on schedule and we can transition to the next points or items and give time for public comment at the end. The chairs have included some suggested time limits for each item on the agenda. It is a very lengthy agenda, and we may not get through that whole agenda this evening, but we're going to do our best to stay on track, understanding that every item may or may not be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up to the extent permitted by the law as an addendum. For announcements, we just want to acknowledge that the Northampton Interfaith Reparations Roundtable has been meeting. They just recently met on the 17th, and anyone that's interested in participating in that can talk to Judy, and you can find on the agenda the contact information. They also have Interfaith Coalition for Episcopal City Missions that'll host a Zoom event called Sacred Reckonings, and their reparatory eco map that's going to take place on December 3rd. And again, you can find information both on the agenda or reach out to Reverend Rebecca Volkel, who is the pastor that will be doing that. There's also another announcement for the 5th annual First Repair National Symposium for state and local reparations scheduled for December 3rd through the 5th in Evanston. And there's a link in the agenda to the symposium registration. There's also the Reparations for Massachusetts task groups and the New England chapter of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America and COBRA. And they are just great networks for folks to focus in on in terms of state happenings, to stay connected, and getting greater perspectives and strategies that can enhance our work. And again, you can check in the agenda for contact information for that. The next item that I want to make an announcement about is the Historic Northampton's exhibition, Slavery and Freedom in Northampton, from 1654 to 1783, which features life-size silhouettes of men, women, and children who were enslaved. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. And the last is that Tom Weiner and other members of Bridge for Unity, a grassroots movement committed to dismantling racism and white supremacy, want to serve as a resource to our commission. They have offered to provide a free session on promoting respectful dialogue and communication based on kindness and empathy. And so we can return to those later during public comment for additional discussion on those, but we're going to move right into our discussion. And the first is one of the items that was tabled in the last meeting, which was commissioners' community agreements. We want to recognize that it's important for safe and inclusive and healthy relationships and environments to be essential for this commission, and to create a space for effective and meaningful practice and discussion as individuals are able to be seen, heard, and that their perspectives and contributions are both valued and respected as an imperative part of this work. This topic of reparations is often a complex and controversial one, and we have been exposed to differences of opinion, experiences, and understanding. We are called to reflect on our past and our present to build a more just and inclusive future. In so, we need to create and maintain a respectful environment by coming together and agreeing upon guidelines where we have collaborative, effective, and productive processes, where we will not tolerate words or actions that result in hostility or harm within this space. So essentially, we talked last meeting about a reset, starting with setting some community agreements and behaviors that are expected of our commissioners and our community at large. And so these agreements are amongst both the commissioners and our guests, and how we will interact moving forward in a respectful way to provide a framework which commissioners have an opportunity to develop here today in this space. And creating those set of norms and guidelines will help us to agree and abide by those norms as discussions unfold throughout the year. If the interaction begins to deviate from the guidelines, and the work of the commission have the right responsibility to call out what is happening and encourage each other to return to the framework which we upon agree. We have some sample agreements that we can go through and share, and then open it up for discussion. So I will pull up a slide so that folks on Zoom can share, and also folks can see here. Can folks see this on Zoom and in the room? Okay.
Can see it on Zoom.
Okay. Jasmine, can you share these aloud so that I'm not the only one talking?
Yeah. All right. So these sample agreements, we will go through them one by one, and we will vote on how we want to interact with them, and if we agree that they should be on our list. So the first one is to show respect, to treat each other with dignity and respect. And we'll go through and just sort of agree on each of those, and they'll get written into our laws there. So let's go through the list once more. I know this may seem a little redundant yet, but it's necessary, and it sets a good precedent for the future. So while I'm reading this aloud, can someone else take the notes on how we how we vote on this? All right. So Bill Newman, we're going one by one with everyone. We're gonna agree to these things, right? And then if we want to adjust or change something, let's speak to that. And I will do my best to take notes at the same time.
Can I have one more
Okay.
minute to read it, please?
So the first one is to show respect. We will treat each other with respect and dignity.
So we're doing each bullet point one at a time?
Each bullet point one at a time.
Yes.
And then we can, yes, great. Felicia. Great.
Yep.
Garrick.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Elkins is not here. Marcia.
Yes.
Great. Renika.
Yes.
Yay. Emikan.
Absolutely.
And me. So we're in agreement. Yes. That is a pass for that one. We will show each other respect and act with dignity. Next one is to listen actively. We will respect each other when we are talking. We'll be conscious of body language and nonverbal responses, since those can also be as disrespectful as words. So we're going to do our best to those responses, which might be to scoff or roll our eyes, or, that those are some examples of that nonverbal response. So let's go through that list again. Bill Newman,
Yes.
Felicia, Garrick,
I will try. Yes.
yes, Marcia,
Yes.
Renika,
Yes.
Jasmine, yes, Emikan.
Affirmative.
Wonderful. I know this seems redundant, y'all. This is important, though. Okay, so the next one is to speak from our own experience. So instead of generalizing, I instead of they, we, you, we will listen and communicate. We will use I instead of they or we or you. So, right, like I'm not talking for all the Nipmuc people. I'm not talking for everyone in the city of Northampton. I'm coming from my own stance with things and my own lived experience. We will listen and communicate clearly and openly with balanced speaking and listening, making I statements instead of invalidating someone else's story with your own spin. We'll share that story, that experience. So we'll go through that list again. Bill Newman. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yes, great. Felicia. Great. Garrick.
Yes.
Great. Marcia.
Yes.
Renika.
No.
All right. What should we change?
I'm here as a representative of the Black community in Northampton. And I don't agree with just the way that this is worded at all.
Okay.
I think that for things, especially things that are, this is a Black reparations, and the things that are about Black people, I should be allowed to talk about my experience as a Black person and extrapolate it to other Black people in the community.
Mm.
So no.
Okay. Does anyone want to respond or?
I'm just wondering if you have an alternative in terms of how you might avoid generalizing or speaking to someone else's experience or their stories.
We're generalizing to make recommendations. So I think this bullet needs to go, period. I mean, we're here with a sample. This is already kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, that we have a list of agreements to have conversations. But the fact that we have to go to this level of granularity and we're here, I think it's wild, but fine. This right here, no, I think that bullet needs to go.
Okay, heard. Thank you.
Can we just talk a little bit about what's underneath this? Because maybe that might help clarify. I mean, I can agree to this because I know when I speak for myself and I tell my story, it's a story that's very common to other people in the Black community. But there must be a reason why you're saying this. So maybe what's behind it might be helpful to understand. What is it that you've seen in the past that you're trying to avoid? Maybe if you could be that clear, that might help. And then we can try to craft something that works for everybody.
I mean, I can respond to that personally. I mean, I think that some trying to speak to someone else's story or their experience. I agree, Marcia, that as Black folks, there are some shared experiences, and I think we can say that as we speak from our own experiences that this might be a shared experience, but by no means do I want someone speaking for me in a way that does not validate my own experience in a way that is representative to me. So I think, again, this comes from people in validating other people's stories with their own spin to it.
So what's behind this is at some point you might have felt like what someone said in the meeting invalidated your story. Is that what you mean?
No, this is not about me.
I think
No,
this
I
is
don't
just
mean
a-
you personally. I'm just saying, is that what you're saying? I'm not making it
Commissioner
about you.
Morris, yes. So this is just a generalized, these have been pulled from other places. These are other community norms that people agree on.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah. This is like a, hey, we're gonna meet and we're gonna just make sure we can hold each other accountable, right? And something that I am often reminded, right? Every time I go out and I speak for my community, the Nipmuc community or the Native people, I remind people I am not the voice of everyone. I'm not, I'm gonna walk into the room and I'm going to say things, and other people might have other perspectives or other ways of being, and I'm not going to be saying this is the only truth, right? For my community. I'm saying this is my feeling about this within the community and my experience. And it is weird. It is a weird one, but I think it is necessary as an acknowledgement. Does that make sense?
No. It doesn't.
Okay.
Who said that?
That did not come from somebody within the commission, I don't believe. So we're I've taken that down as a note. If we can continue the vote on this. We had stopped at Renika. I personally am going to say yes. So that's my vote. Emma Khan.
Affirmative.
Great. So with that, that passes, and just reminding folks, you can still speak for your experience. So we'll move on to the next one, to refrain from personal attacks. Let's focus on ideas and don't be afraid to be respectfully challenged by one another. We are doing something very hard here, right? And something seeped in a lot of trauma. And so we may have those responses, but let's refrain from attacks. The goal is not necessarily to agree, but to gain understanding and to be together. So I will go through that list again. Bill Newman,
Yes.
Felicia,
Yes.
Garrick,
Yes.
Marcia,
Yes.
Renika.
No, the goal is not necessary to agree. The goal is to do reparations for Black people in Northampton. So that is a no.
Okay, I will note that down. Moving on to me, a yes from me, Emma Khan.
I don't think that we need any personal attacks, so.
Yeah. Thank you. And with that, that one passes as well. Okay, next is participate to the fullest of your ability. So this is just a simple, remember, these are ones from other places too. Community growth depends on the inclusion of every individual voice. So we're going to try to all participate together, to not talk over each other, and to hold that respect for everyone. So we'll go Bill Newman.
With that explanation, yes.
Thank you. Felicia,
Yes.
Garrick,
Yes.
Marcia,
Yes.
No,
Renika.
because
Okay.
not everybody needs to talk on every topic.
No, not everyone does need to talk on every subject. You are correct. No, yes from me, Jasmine Goodspeed. Emma Khan.
Yes.
All right, and with that, it passes. This next one here is to act with integrity and transparency. to hold each other and ourselves, colleagues, constituents, city council, and communities, and the city at large accountable to an ethical, high standard in service of our charge, commission, and communities. So breaking that one down a little bit to move with our charter, our vision with respect and with integrity to that mission. So we are trying to get to that place where we are serving the community and holding each other accountable for serving the community. So I'll go through that list. Bill Newman,
Yes.
Felicia,
Yes.
Garrick.
I have a question.
Yes.
How does this bullet point differ from some of the other things?
Felicia, would you like to respond to that?
I think this speaks to the value of being productive and moving forward as a council, as a commission, as community, to just continue to be productive with the charge that we were given to make sure that we move forward and smoothly through our charge.
So this is more along the charter for the commission and holding that charter accountable and in the process that we need to go through for that charter. Great. So your vote on that, Garrick?
I see where we're going, but I'm actually going to abstain. I'm not certain we need it, but
Yeah. Is there something that you want to add?
I can't think of anything right now. I
Cool.
it might be, but just give me a second. So
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to circle back?
if
Or
I
abstain?
do, I'll let you know. I'm abstaining.
All right, abstain.
I want to talk a little bit too.
Sure, yeah.
I think that that's really to act in with integrity and transparency is like upholding the quality and productivity of the commission, right? Whether we have a continued focus on transparency, quality, and productivity and safety of the commission is really, I think, what that translates to. And yeah, just to give more context. And I'm going to say yes.
Great. Marcia?
I have an issue with this.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear it.
Act with integrity and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of violations of this. There's a lot of deal making on the outside of this committee. And if you're speaking to that particularly, because that should be addressed, I guess, with your sample agreements, I don't have a problem. I mean, to me, these seem rudimentary, some of them, but they don't speak to the issues. I think this one does speak to the issues of some of the issues that we've had so far with the outside deals, the backdoor dealing, the undermining of people. And I think we need to, and so since you don't like the generalization, I'll go back to the whole thing around the banks and Bill making deals outside of the meeting before we even got there, and the issues that came up around that. And that continued all through out up until like June with that going on. And I think that's something that we need to speak to directly if you're going to say hold integrity and transparency and high ethical standards.
Okay, so do you want to propose an addendum into this?
Yes,
saying,
I would. I would
Yeah,
like
yeah.
us to be very clear
Mm-hmm.
that the backdoor deals should be off the table.
All right. So I'm working on revising it right now. Act with integrity and transparency to hold each other and ourselves accountable, colleagues, constituents, that's a hard word for me sometimes, city councils, communities, and the city, accountable to all high ethical standards in service of our charge, commission, and commission. This includes this includes an agreement to, what do you think, Marcia? To not
To not purposely undermine the process
okay.
or the production of the commission by driving agendas outside of this room, because you
Great.
can't see it.
Mm-hmm. So to not meet outside of the commission with alternative agendas, which other council members are not aware of. There must be transparency at all times.
Exactly.
Great. Let me, do we, because I really like that. Can we go back to the top with that addendum? Thank you, Marcia, for suggesting that. I'm working on typing it all up. It's hard for me to move this fast. Alternative agendas which are not made apparent to other members, commissioners. Okay, so that with that change, it is, and apologies to everyone who has already spoken. We'll go back. To act with integrity and transparency, to hold ourselves and each other's accountable, colleagues, constituents, city council, communities, and the city accountable to a high ethical standard in service of our charge. This includes an agreement and agreements not to meet outside of commission with alternative agendas which are not made apparent to commissioners. So all agendas must be emailed, or all agendas must be even with, what's the word for the?
Negotiated in the room.
Okay. All external meetings must be negotiated within the room. Must be
Now,
negotiated.
I don't think it's meetings, it's the driving the, trying to make deals outside of the room. If you want to make a deal, make it in the room.
Okay. So are you saying all external communication between council members must be negotiated within the room? Sorry, yeah, commissioners?
Well, if you're going to want to make a deal, you've got to make the deal with the commissioners in the room,
Yeah, yeah.
not backdooring people. And then they show up and find out, oh, you've already got your little cabal going and all of that. Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay. So all external communication with commissioners must be negotiated within the room at the time of the appointed meeting. Okay. With those adjustments, and thank you all for bearing with me as I try to type and speak. Can we go back and vote again? Starting with Bill Newman.
Yeah, I will vote with this. I just think I need to note that I never made a deal, much less a backdoor deal with anyone about anything. With that
Yeah.
understanding, I will vote yes.
Perfect. Yes, I agree. Felicia.
I'm in agreement.
Yay. Garrick.
So I still have questions.
Yeah.
So this means before anyone reaches out to someone else, we're going to approve what the communication is. So that
Mhm.
means that no commissioner will reach out to anyone else unless it is discussed here.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, what does that include?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to bring in an outside group
Mhm.
from another community, we would have to approve it and approve the wording for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that sounds fair.
That's not what I said.
I wasn't saying what you
That
said, I
has
just-
nothing to do with what I talked about with what went down with the banks. That's not it at all, and you know it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's try to keep this on track for the agreements. And I hear you. And I hear your example there. I do like that addendum.
Well, so I'm just a little bit confused then.
Yeah.
what, can you read the end of it? What external
Yes,
communications?
all external communications between commissioners must be negotiated within the room at the time of the agenda review.
So can I?
No, that what I was talking about. Now you went and have taken, if you want to craft something other than what I'm talking about, that's fine. I don't, go
Well,
ahead.
I haven't changed it from when we last spoke.
What I was talking about
Okay.
was if we're, for instance, I'm going to give a concrete example. If we're coming to agreement about a recommendation that you're not already, before you even walk through the door, have talked to people and have negotiated with people to get what you want, and have a group of people already lined up to do that. That has nothing to do with getting people to come in and talk and that kind of thing. Those are two totally different things. And that had nothing to do with the banks. I gave an example of what went down with the banks.
Okay, I'm gonna just continue this vote with this. So I'm not sure how much more I can change it, but I think it is fair and within meeting law to keep it as all external communications between commissioners must be negotiated within the room at the time of the agenda review. And that keeps us with, the quorum laws where we cannot meet outside of commission with each other to make, decisions. And I think that's the realm of this question. So we're acting with integrity and transparency. We are committing to integrity and transparency with each other and having that transparency of, hey, we'd like to have this discussion, this subcommittee to talk about this thing.
For me, it feels like the integrity of what I said was already violated because that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. Now, if you wanted to put that forward, why didn't you just put that forward? That feels like that's an agenda that you might have, but that doesn't, because that has nothing to do with what I was talking about.
No, Marcia, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying, but we can take it back and take that part off and just continue with the vote as it was before, which is the words that you see on the screen, and perhaps that might be best for now. And we can hold that in our hearts, that we will not have external communications. But I think it's important that we move on from this one. And if we can agree with the old, I will take that off. The other, I liked that too. Okay.
I think what the surface for me is that we have very different ideas of what integrity and transparency is. And maybe that's something we need to come back and talk about and hammer out together as a group, because that's not a simple minor thing.
Okay.
That might be what's been tripping this group up for a while, is that we have differences of agreements about what that means.
Okay.
If I could interject, where did these come from? I think that's where that starts. Where did this list come from? Like, who gathered it? Where was it gathered from? And let's go there. Let's start there.
I created the sample list based on conversations that I had with commissioners throughout the year about respect, listening to one another, and personal attacks. And so, as we had our meeting last month, we talked about community norms and tabling that. For some consistency and for a context, I provided some samples that as a collective we can talk about, as we are doing right now, to move forward. And so that's where they came from, to answer your question, Renika. And Marcia, if you have an alternative to be able to put into words, I think we're open to that. And Jasmine was trying to help and assist with that. But if you don't have something to put forward,
I said about agendas. I didn't say
you said about
that. I used the word very clearly, agenda. That got like turned into something else.
I'm happy to craft something between now and the next time we meet so that we can move forward. I don't want to hold us up around this, but I do think this is important because what has come out is we don't agree about what integrity and transparency is. We seem to have different understandings of that.
Mhm. And
I think we should have drafted these together. That's me.
This is what.
We should have drafted them together and not been presented with them now to just vote on them, is
Renika,
what I'm
this is-
saying.
Renika, this is the opportunity to draft them together. This is a sample so that people have an understanding of what are samples of.
We started out with read these, yes or no. That was not how it was presented. It was
It was
these-
presented before Jasmine read them, I said that what community norms are in the agenda, it shares sort of agreements, norms, what values. And we said collectively, we were going to go through these to as a collective, agree or create norms that we can move forward for the year so that we are not sitting here having the same conversations or the arguments about, disrespect, participation, personal attacks. And we just experienced a personal attack against Bill Newman, who was just told that he was
saying
going-
that it should have been a blank page and we started there. That's the difference.
Okay, we'll move forward.
I'm sorry, I don't
And
think
that's
that was
actually, wait
personal.
a minute. Let me say something. That right there is dismissive. That's just what you both said that we don't want to do. That is
Okay.
what you just did. So let's actually table this since we can't agree and come back to it.
I actually feel like that it was a personal attack. And so
That was not a personal attack.
And this is why I don't agree, because I just said I felt using your words right here. I used an I statement. I felt that this should have been a blank that we all came together and decided to do. You two were both dismissive, and now you're turning it around and saying that that was a personal attack when I said what I felt we should have done. So if we can't agree that even using I statements is not a personal attack, then we can't agree on any of these.
So, okay. Renika, I was not saying that using the I statement as attack. I said we had personal attacks when Marcia had attacked Bill about backdoor meetings already, right? So I was not referring to you using I statements. I'm not being dismissive. I'm saying right now, here's the opportunity for us to craft them. We just asked what addendums, what ideas do people have? Marcia shared some information. Jasmine took the time to craft something out. Marcia did not like what that was. I asked and invited Marcia to be able to come and craft something else. She said she's going to come to the next meeting with something to speak to that. I'm not saying that you personally attacked me for using I statements.
I'm saying we should have started with a blank and come together and come up with, instead of having the sample already there. That's the difference. That is the difference in our communication here. We should have come together as a group instead of having these and then crafting from them. Because if you don't agree fundamentally and you're trying to make a bullet work that doesn't work for you, then you're going to have the issue that we just had with the transparency and integrity bullet, because it's not coming from a place where we all sat in the room together and talked, which I believe is what Marcia is speaking to. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for Commissioner Moore.
Exactly. And for you to say that I attacked Bill and you said it like blanket, like that was the truth, when I'm telling you, I wasn't attacking him. We talked about this when all this went down. This isn't new news. We had this conversation back then. So I don't know where that's even coming from. And for you to make that statement like it's blanket and true, I have a problem with that. That is not true. We talked about all this back then. This is not new. Bill was calling
So
people
for
all
the sake
weekend
of
long.
time, as we come to 6 o'clock, as we come to halfway through our meeting, it sounds like we have agreed on show respect, listen actively, speak from our own experience, refrain from personal attacks, participate to the fullest of our ability, but we do not yet agree on acting with integrity and transparency, whatever that norm is. And Marcia, you have step forward to say that you'll send an email with, some changes that you might like to see, and we can come back to this one at another time when we're discussing community norms. But
That's
our
exact-
agenda list is
thank you.
very big. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Jasmine. That's
Thank
exactly
you.
what I just said.
Yeah.
Why
So
don't we come back to it?
We're halfway through. So yes, Garrick.
Thank you. I just, I just want to be on the record stating as well that I think that this is a learning experience. I do agree with what Renika is saying, is that
Yeah.
you know, we from here on out learn an approach and try and work collaboratively, and that's one of the reasons why I was not voting for one of the things, because it's really hard to be presenting something and then try and work it out with the nuance. So I hope that we can use this as a way to move forward and have communication with each other, because that's what we're here for, is to actually talk and do some work.
Absolutely. So, but we've got a good base of some things. So we can come back next time and work on more things that we want to add. And we've got the juices flowing, right? Of what we want our agreements to be. So between this meeting and the next one, which will be the regular meeting, so it's coming up faster than people might expect, we will talk about the community norms again. And we'll come back to this very place.
Great. We'll move on to the next item, which is accessibility and authorization. There has been files and contacts of leaders and other contacts obtained for specific use. We need to identify a process that includes a formal opt-in or out for this and other resources obtained through the Northampton Reparations Study Commission. For example, when someone signs up for a Northampton Reparations Study Commission event, and they share their email address or mailing list, we want to make sure that we ensure that those on those lists have consented to receive information preventing any further use outside of official NRCS business or communications for individuals' purposes. And so we need to, it was my understanding that commissioners had gone to the city to obtain a list, and we need to devise a process that includes, again, ways in which this information that we gather and files and contacts are used. And so I'm opening it up for discussion.
I don't know if other commissioners did that, but I did that because there's a list that I had started for that 100-person list, which I told you all I was building. And because of how Anthony got fired and all the shenanigans that was going on around that, that list is stuck someplace in the city. Now that list I've been building from meeting people on the street, talking to people here and there. From the very first event we did, which was not a commission event, we did that jointly with the roundtable. So that's the only thing that I was trying to get from that gentleman. So just so I don't know if anybody else called in, but I can say what I called in and asked for to be tracked down. And that's because I only have pieces of the list. If I had understood that this was all going to turn into all of this, I would have kept that list within my own computer. I wouldn't have given it over to anybody.
Well, I think we need to figure out what this list is going to be used for. And so as a commission and as a body, we need to figure out, you know, what's the purpose of that list, and and did people consent to have that list used for certain things?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, one more. So reading this agenda item, it brings up two things. One is, as we move forward doing the work, is communicating and disseminating information, which I think is important. And, you know, I've admitted myself, and also the city can do better at kind of putting out what's happening. So that's what's interesting to me, is how we utilize contact information, and yes, what process it would be. Is that what we're talking about in general? Just like kind of that, not one specific list? Okay, so let's talk about that portion first and what people think.
Yeah, I think that we should talk about lists in general, but the list that I'm trying to get is the list that I was developing for the community engagement learning group. so that we could have people that we could draw on to invite to community engagement events, to invite to community engagement meetings, and to start to build that 100 Black person list. You all were very aware of that. We talked about it many times in the meeting.
I think, Marcia, I think that we are aware of it, but the folks that were on that list that were in the past, what you mentioned, the termination of the former assistant Sage, that list was used in an unauthorized manner, right? And so there was complaints that the city had received that their information was used without their knowledge. And we don't want to, we want to avoid a repeat of that experience. It was terrible that, you know, Sage had to, that was terminated because of that mishap.
Those complaints, are they anonymized? Can we see them?
I don't have the answer to that question, Renika. But I do know that there were complaints. I don't know whether or not those folks want to come forward with those complaints, considering that that list was used without their knowledge in terms of the emails. And so again, moving forward, there needs to be some type of formal opt-in or out for people, and we need to make sure that they are aware of what that list is going to be used for. And so again, this is what this time is dedicated for. Commissioner Perry.
I would say that when we were trying to put together a list, I was asked to put together some folks in the entertainment community, and I reached out, and the reason why no one wanted to be included was because it was uncertain how their information would be utilized, and I had no answer for them. You know, it's one thing to give the government your info, and you know, we're such a small community. I think it's important that we have guidelines and standards. So that's kind of why I'm interested in how we move forward and how we communicate, because I think that people are rightfully cautious of where their information goes.
Are there other folks, commissioners that want to, Commissioner Sudan or Goodspeed, that want to weigh in on the conversation?
Well, I think that we need to create like a subcommittee to really work out the wording for this proposal, and then bring it back to the whole group. I think that would be a step in the right direction.
Sorry, will you speak to that a little bit more? I'm not quite following you. My brain's going really fast.
Well, to create like a subcommittee within our commission
Mm-hmm. So you're suggesting
to work out the process for
to work out the process for future lists
Right,
like this?
right.
Yeah, because right now it seems like there is that list. There's a lot of people who want it not released. Is okay.
There has been a misuse of it, and before moving forward to disseminate that list to anybody, we need to figure out what is the purpose for that, right? What are they going to receive, right? For example, you know, an organization may allow people to opt into a mailing list. Are we sending out news, right, for newsletters, or do they want reminders of our meetings or our updates? Marcia, maybe you can speak to why you wanted the list and what the use for it is. And I agree with Commissioner Emma Khan that, you know, there should be a process, and that we're not going to get through that process or be able to sort of outline that now. And speaking to Renika's point about, you know, sort of a blank page, maybe that's one of the agenda items, and discussing sort of subcommittees to be able to work on that.
I have lists of names of people that I've talked to and met along the way and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I still have some of those names and have a list of those people in an email that I've sent out before when we were putting together the community engagement committee. But I just feel as though at this point, whatever list the city has, that's fine. If the city, you know, however you all want to work it out with that list in the city, that's fine. So I understand now when I'm putting together a list or I'm working on something, if I share it with the city, that thing can get confiscated and then I can't get access to it again. So you know, whatever is over at the city is fine with me. I'm not going to, you know, whatever you all want to come up with. But the people that I've talked to, that I've communicated with, and that I've developed a list for, has very specific purpose, because I'm going along meeting people and talking to them and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I'm not really sure. I mean, if something went down that, you know, people are upset or whatever is going on, you know, that happens in real life. And if you guys want to formulate some kind of commission or some kind of subgroup to work on that, so that kind of thing doesn't happen again in the future, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But the list that I was creating was specifically to begin to find a structure for Black people in the community to be able to communicate with them and be able to start to engage them in the process of discussing reparations. And I talked about that for months, and no one ever said anything about the list. Nobody cared.
Yeah. So again, I want to get back to sort of the moving towards the future. It's nice to look at our past, but I really want to have us focus on ways to learn from our mistakes and ways to move forward. And I know that on the agenda later is a discussion with Attorney Seawald. I think that we really should bring him back, especially if we're bringing new members. But I want to remind folks that at the start of this, I know it was a couple years ago, but our attorney reminded us that anything we generate through your emails and whatnot are part of this public record in this commission. And that's why he suggested creating an email account specifically for this. You know, it's a weird thing to serve on boards and committees, but it really does mean that things that we could do in our outside capacity are not things we can do here. So we have, you know, everything you generate. That's why we can't go back and forth on a Google document. So for me, I think this is a very timely thing, because as we're trying to get our energy and move through this new year with this, you know, keep doing the work, we really do need processes in order to get our work out there and to invite people in. And so that's what I want to focus on, not what one person did or other things, but how we all move together.
Absolutely. And on bouncing from that, right? Like, as a historian coming at these public records, these town records, right? They are there for everyone to read. I'm reading things from 400 years ago, meeting minutes from 400 years ago, to figure out what was happening in those communities at that time, right? These are very valuable records, and there's a reason why they are public. So just remembering that everything we do for this commission, for our community, is public.
Is there any further discussion? Any other commissioners want to weigh in on this conversation? And if not, does anyone want to make a motion? Or yeah, I mean, table it.
This is in the discussion section, so I don't know if you need a motion.
Yeah, I don't know. So is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on to the next point, which is honestly just a refresher on protocols and procedures. We do, again, this is just a refresher from last meeting that we do not have an administrative assistant at the moment, which is the next item on the agenda. Currently, all communication should go through the 2 elected Northampton Reparations Study Commissioners chairs, as they are the ones responsible for emails and any direct communication through the chairs would be appropriate at this time. And the process it's just to maintain order and keep discussion focused on the agenda, make sure and ensure that all voices are heard and that things get to the agenda, and we can move forward. We do have I've reached out to Attorney Alan Seawald and invited him to our meeting in December. He has responded, and we're looking at some dates to be able to bring him to December's meeting. Any discussions?
Well, I would just like to know what's the purpose of bringing Attorney Alan Sewell?
To give us a refresher on things like open meeting laws, this could be helpful and useful in the conversation around this list and public records and how we move forward. Yeah. And what the expectations are to make sure that there aren't conflicts of interest, that we are, you know, to our best ability following the rules and regulations of open meeting laws and practices. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Perry?
Yep. I agree. I think that things should be streamlined for now, especially without an assistant. But I kind of feel like what Emma Khan is saying, that like I think we need an overview, obviously, about open meeting laws, but our next item is talking about increasing size, and I feel like do we want to have this redundant? Do we have to do it twice? Because I know that when Jasmine and Emma Khan joined us, we didn't have a refresher on that, but we could have used one maybe. And so that's my only question is it better for us to wait till we bring in new members to have Solicitor Seawold, so we don't have to do it all times? So I don't know how everyone else feels.
I think it'd be good to bring in, so the members that are on here are people who we've been, you know, they've been emailed to us, and I think we'll have that conversation next, but bringing in Seawald to discuss the open meeting laws with them, I think would be good.
So would we want to table Attorney Seawald coming in until the January meeting, or until after we figure out quorum size, composition, and the new appointees?
I think we-
Sorry, Renika, go for it.
I think we should bring him in after the new people, because then that way, like, everybody gets the refresher at the same time, and everybody starts at the same page. And so, like, hopefully we can make a decision on new members and have them seated in a meeting or two. So we bring him in the new year.
Sure. Emma Khan?
I agree. Yeah, that sounds good to wait until everybody's together.
Okay. Commissioner Newman or Commissioner Morris, do you want to weigh in? Do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think I think that's an easy lift. People seem to believe that that's something that should be done that way, Felicia. So I would just go ahead and do it that way.
Okay. Commissioner Newman?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We just went through an extensive conversation that essentially amounted to we were supposed to obey and comply with the open meeting law. And we spent 20 minutes on something that is clearly something that would be improper under the open meeting law. So I think that that refresher would be a good thing to do. We did it under part of this rubric of our rules, but it's a law and we have to comply with it.
Yeah. Well, and I know that it's easy for me to learn through hearing somebody talk about something. So I'm excited to have Alan come in.
Awesome.
I want to meet him.
Awesome. All right.
And just to clarify, you can't have successive conversations. You can't arrange something beforehand. It's illegal, it's improper, it's wrong, can't happen, shouldn't happen. And to the best of my knowledge, as far as my behavior is concerned, has never happened. So I think it's a worthy exercise to have Attorney Seawald come and tell us about that.
Fantastic.
So we agree to check in again about this.
Yes, so I'll reach out and see about our January meeting. Okay, moving right along, administrative assistant. Let's have a discussion on moving forward, hiring practices, where we want to go as a commission from here.
I'm sorry.
Could I ask, as point of clarification, how was the previous person that filled that position? How was that person hired? What was the process for that?
The previous two were posted on the city webpage as like opportunities through the city, and filled from there. So I think we have one of two options, and I might be wrong about this. I think we can go the same route, or we may be able to hire a contractor instead And considering like both times it took like months, I believe, to like hire an admin, we might want to go the contractor route if it's faster, but I'm not sure. And that's something we should like find out about.
Yes, I think Renika is correct that it was posted, and I believe we have to do that. This person would be hired by the city, and my suggestion would be to talk to HR. Maybe Tracy or someone could just give a little guidance. Um, and the sooner we start putting out the feelers would be great. I think the question at hand for me is, since Renika said it took a while, is other than just posting, how else would we want to engage folks? Whether it's hiring a contractor like Renika said, or do we try and do outreach to other communities, whether it's Smith, UMass, or something like that. So I know that there was a woman who was helping the community engagement group. That alerting that person could be a thing, but I do know that you have to post it.
I think that we may, well, two things. One is if we need notes immediately, it might be easier. And then as long as the law hasn't changed, the last time I worked with cities, as long as it's under $9,999, you don't have to get it approved. You can hire somebody without running a whole long process as a contractor. And then, but if you're hiring somebody, you've got to post and do the city process. So, and that usually means having a committee, somebody, or someone or a group of people interviewing. So I would suggest that we may want to look at having it posted and then seeing if we can hire someone temporarily just to get the notes done, because it seems like the notes from June and now October are not done. And we might be able to do that quickly. And I could check with the young woman that she's finishing up her master's. I don't know if she'd even be interested at this point, but that would be my suggestion.
Yes, Garrick.
And I forgot to mention that while I know that Laura, the administrative assistant for the council, has too much on her plate to help, there are other people who have filled in for administrative duties sometimes. When I was on the special commission to study barriers to service, we had someone come in. So that could be another route, is look to see if there's anyone within the city who could just help us catch up. So again, I would suggest talking to HR and also just seeing what resources we have as we look for a permanent administrative assistant. Because someone who has already done the work for the city kind of knows, they've transcribed Zoom meetings, they've done all the things, so we don't have to always reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so we can make the commitment to contact HR. We have had a few conversations about like what it would take to bring in somebody, and we can get a little bit more clarity on that. But it is an urgent need for an administrative assistant or even a volunteer, right? If somebody can volunteer to listen to that June meeting and take down those notes to the best of their abilities, but there is an AI transcription for the October meeting notes. So, and there will might be an AI transcription for this one, though I'm doing my best to take notes as well. So,
But if there's an AI, we can't just submit that one, right? We have to have somebody go back and match it up, right?
it's important to. I think AI it's not like actually smart. It's just a generative language model. So it can very well get the thing wrong, right?
Yeah, and also we discussed that it won't have sort of whether or not we've got quorum or how many people are there, how many people voted. And so that's important to have in those minutes. So when people need to go back, that we have that information.
Yes, Garrick.
But I think in the meantime, the AI will at least help us get there. Part of what the minutes are is, and I've read a lot of them, is that we are also as commissioners or counselors or whatever, also we are helping to check each other's work.
Mhm.
Even if a human did it, they make errors. And I've seen many meeting minutes be, changed to be like, oh, well, this person said that. So I think it
Yeah, and that's why we
When you-
approve them, right? And we check each other. There are checks and balances for this, and that's good. Yes.
Okay,
Mahan.
I make a motion that
Okay.
we contact somebody in HR and set up one ad or however they do it to get us an administrative assistant, because from what I can perceive going forward, we are in great need.
So I'm writing that you're motioning that we contact HR and ask for the job to be posted effective immediately. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, and none of the chairs can second, so.
Second.
Yay, thank you. Now we can go through. Would you like to?
Commissioner Newman. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Newman?
Yeah, I'd like some clarification on what we're voting on, so maybe you want to go through the others and I'll postpone my
Yes.
until the end and I'll have some clarity instead of having to repeat it.
Sure. Commissioner,
Can I clarify real quick?
oh, sure, of course.
So I think what I'm hearing is the motion is for us to contact, maybe the chairs to contact HR and ask for the job to be posted for the administrative assistant effective immediately. So get the ball rolling on that. So
Commissioner Perry.
yes, I don't even know if you need to vote on it, but yes. Let's keep the ball rolling.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I don't think there's a, this is not necessary to vote on, ladies. I think you all as the chairs can have the
I
right
think we
to
can say,
roll
yeah,
that.
yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, we appreciate the motion and we will move forward with both Jasmine and I will reach out to the city to make sure that that is posted and share with the commission
Yeah.
Once that is done. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yay, look at us go.
We'll put the
are getting
pressure
through
on.
this agenda. Okay. Is there any more discussion on the administrative assistant or can we move to the next item, which is quorum size, composition and appointment processes and memberships moving forward?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's move on.
all right. So let's discuss the
Hold
commission.
up, ladies, excuse me, I'm sorry. I believe Renika contacted you and let you know that there was a time sensitive issue and I'm looking at the time and I'm just concerned that we're not gonna get to that in time. About,
Yeah, so I think we might. We just have to fly through these two.
Yep.
So that is the next thing.
but isn't Bill having to leave or does it matter if one of us leaves and will we still have enough people to do a
Well,
vote?
you can make a motion to amend the agenda and move the budget in.
I don't think you can do that.
Oh, no,
Yeah, you can do that. You can always do that.
Yeah, we can
But
make
I thought that was done ahead of time. Renika, is that correct or did I misunderstand?
The agenda was already published when I emailed, so but we can make a motion to move it up, I believe.
I don't even know.
Are you're
Sure.
discussing the next budget? The budget?
Yes.
Yes, that is on the agenda. We've got that.
that's the next item.
That's the next item.
So would you mind if we flipped it? If we make the motion to go ahead, because Bill said he had to leave at 20
ahead.
minutes of
Make-
7.
Make the motion, Marcia.
Yeah, we can flip it.
Okay, great.
Let's
So
flip it.
I make the motion that we take up the issue of the budget now. And we'll come back to the size of the group, the commission.
Okay, so we'll table the
We have to have a second.
membership.
Someone has to
Yeah.
second that.
Okay.
Can't be the chairs. Someone that wants to move that.
Second.
Okay,
Okay. I don't think we need to, but
all right. Commissioner Newman,
Sure.
Commissioner Perry,
Yeah.
Commissioner Montgomery Temeclo,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudan.
Affirmative.
Commissioner Goodspeed,
Yeah.
and I also am fine with moving that. Okay, so the budget. The status of our, so that passes. The status of our budget, financial commitments and strategies for sustainability. Currently, we have $16,002.35 remaining in the budget. No charges have been made to the account since this fiscal year. So that's just an update in terms of the budget. In terms of identifying potential revenue streams, I was asked to suggest creating a budget line item, an account for external funding sources to accept public and private funds, as to begin contributions for those that may want to contribute, even if they don't know where the funds will go to just yet. And so that was something that was suggested to bring to discussion. And the next item is budget items and proposed uses for remaining commission funds. It's open for discussion.
Yeah, so this is a big one, y'all. We may need to overlap and to continue talking about this, but this can be the beginning of this conversation about the budget and how we're going to use it.
So I guess one question I have is like, is the original appropriation it, or were we scheduled to get any more appropriations? Like, is that first, like, I think $30,000 we got, was that just the only money we were supposed to get, or was there supposed to be more money? I guess that's one question I have.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm writing it down. I don't have the answer, but that can be something that we can ask when we go ask about the administrative assistant.
Yeah.
But good question. Thank you.
Commissioner Perry?
Yeah, so I also don't know the answer to that. This commission was charged with a timeline. So, but we have extended it. We voted and the council approved, but this kind of ties into the other one with quorum and all that stuff. This is a unique body. It is both by the mayor's office as well as the city council. So because they're, I think maybe the only example of this that I know of was the Policing Review Commission, we have to figure out what that process, how to bring new people in, how to extend it, what our budgetary needs are. And so it's hard for me to separate the two things without, the other. I'm not certain how much the administrative assistant was making, how much out of that, like whether it's what the pay is, whether it's health insurance, all those things. So there's a lot to talk about the budget.
It seems kind of like it might be a good thing for us since there's so many unanswered, like we don't have these things rolling around in our brains, I don't think. Maybe we could have a series of questions that Felicia and I can bring back to the mayor's office and HR and stuff. So what are those questions? That might be the most effective use of our time, acknowledging that we have about 15 minutes left
And we
before
also-
public comment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we want to definitely get public comment.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one of the first things that
Yeah.
write down is, will a budget be renewed? Or what's the potential and what are the funding sources for that?
Yes, okay, what are the funding sources? Got it. Anything else?
If I could, also maybe an understanding of what our budget, what if any are budgetary constraints?
Yeah.
What we can, some of the recommendations we had was maybe starting a scholarship or a program for students. Would that be acceptable for use of our budget? I just met with the subcommittee for the Youth Commission, the Culture and Social Justice, and they're talking about I'm helping them create an event. And would that be use of our funding too? So I think that's the question. What could we use it for?
I'm gonna write this very loosely and we can, yeah. Anyone else have questions that we can bring? Yes, Bill.
Yeah, the most important thing I think is what are we asking for with regard to this assistant? and how much will that cost? Because you're talking about having someone on the payroll for, I guess, close to a year. And with the actual compensation plus the benefits, we could use that up in a hurry. And I think that it's really important to know what that cost is, at least based on the history and our experience so far. So I would start, I don't start there, but that'd be one of my first questions.
So the question is just how much will the assistant cost? Or are there any nuances you want me to include in that, Bill?
No, I think that's the question.
Thank you. Anyone else? Renika.
I also think that like we don't want to just spend all of our money on an assistant. Like there were things that we had brought up before, like there's the Marsha and I are interested in going to the first repair conference in Evanston, like, and can there be funding for that for us? And then like we do need to make that trip to Alabama in the near future, because Commissioner Morris can talk more to that, because like, but she has gotten some leads and research and monies for research, but there's a timeline. So like there's actual things that we need to do that like also factor into this. So like what is the process for that? How long does it take? What do we need to do?
Yeah, I hear that. And I also wonder, is there, proposals? Like, is it just commissioners that, are proposing to use funds to go to things like conferences, it sounds like, or is that something that's, something where other folks or community members, I know, Renika, you had, after the agenda had been posted, you had
Got you.
inquired about the conference and usage and
Yes.
Marsha going. And so we need to figure out what the process is and who does that funding account, like who that funding can be used towards.
Yes.
It can be used.
Okay. Hold on. Let me make sure I've got this right, friends. Okay.
The issue
Renika.
though with Evanston is that we're on a time deadline. I have secured funding for my ability to go. The issue for me is that, as you all know, I'm disabled and I would need to take a person with me, and Renika wants to go to the Evanston conference, where there are others. That is the conference where cities come from all over the country to talk about the work that they're doing. And it would be a great place for us to learn what's going on around the country, and also talk about what we're doing and to make our work known. So, but that trip is December 3rd, I believe it's 3rd through the 5th.
It's the first week.
I am so sorry. I don't think that we're going to be able to get any kind of approvals with such a short amount of time. And Marsha, I'm so glad that you have raised enough funding to go yourself. But I can only say that we'll ask. We'll ask.
There is we've been down this road before. The process is for us to vote and say that we want to use the money. And that goes to the city. We've worked this process before. We've talked about this process before. And I've communicated with that office before about other things from last year. So the process is pretty simple. It's not a difficult process, but it has to be approved by the commission, my understanding is. And we don't, and from talking to, I always forget his name, last name's Jared, I believe, the city president, we can even set up a small group to handle these things going forward. So we don't have to bring this to the whole group. We just bring the proposal. We have a subcommittee that works on these kinds of things. So things are done in a timely fashion. But that's where we're at with that. And what Renika's talking about, which we can talk about at the next meeting, I'm entering and working with the Northampton media to do this project with around going out to Alabama and to find that property that the Watsons lived on. So, but I wasn't planning on talking, we can talk about that at next meeting. I'll ask for that to be put on the agenda and bring you all up to speed about what I've talked to with the executive director over there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Garrick?
So my initial thoughts are, you know, that we do have a budget and we can spend money on some resources, but I've talked to folks about travel. That's a different thing. We've used resources for other groups and things, but I know that it's very difficult to get even some of the other health department to go on conferences and things. That's a whole nother, it's a whole nother animal than just paying someone to come in our city or putting money in our city. So I know there's travel reimbursement forms and other things, and it's a long process. It's a process even as a city councilor. If I want to travel to a Massachusetts Municipal Association meeting, it takes me months to get to apply for things. I'm one of the, I'm the chair of the Northampton Democratic City Committee for Ward 4. I was just at the Democratic Convention, and I had to fill out a number of forms just for me, not even to go to Springfield and help them waive something. So I just want to just be on record saying it is not as easy as it can be to travel with city funds because there's liabilities and whatnot. And I think the other thing that comes up is I think we all have passions and the things we want to do. So part of this process is if we do walk down the road of sending people, how do we determine who is sent and what that process looks like? So we should at some point have a discussion because I love taking trips and I love learning.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure we all do. So how do we effectively do that?
Yeah. And I think also we need to have more than, you know, there has to be a window of time that's significant so that people, you know, can propose the budget, propose the proposal for sending whomever to wherever in accordance with the guidelines and compliances. And also I'm wondering, you know, have you drafted a budget of how much it would cost to send folks, right? There's several processes to be able to do that. And maybe it's not a full, you know, full reimbursement, maybe it's partial. I mean, these are all things that I think we need as a commission to discuss and also to figure out what the parameters are within the city and Massachusetts in terms of these types of processes and what they involve.
And Bill, I see that you've just put your camera on and I appreciate you, but I think we do have to move to the next, I think we have to move to the next thing because oh, you're leaving. Goodbye. Never mind. Yes. Unmute.
Unmute and say what you have to say.
I was just trying to say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you. All right. So that's a great transition into the agenda items for next time. And then we have to move into public comment. So we're going to talk about budget next time. It seems like that's something people want to talk about. Next meeting. I'm sorry that we're not able to. Yes, we're going to talk about quorum and membership next time. We had tabled that just before this conversation. What else? Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so let's open it up for.
Turn on your mic.
Yeah.
Turn on your mic.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. So we'll table those items. Can everyone hear me now? And let's, actually, those are suggested items for next meeting. And so if there are any other agenda items.
Yeah. Are there any more?
Well, I would just like, is there any follow-up on the study that we did that was presented to the city council and to the mayor's office? What's become of that?
Yeah, so that's on the agenda that we didn't get to today. But we can certainly, for our next meeting, talk about surveys, interviews, follow-up, what has been done, what needs to continue to be done, and moving forward into recommendations, implementations, and the pace.
Okay, follow up.
It's there, it's already on the agenda. You don't even have to type it.
Okay.
Garrick.
I am sorry, I don't want to overload us, and maybe this is something that happens when we get new members, but again, I was talking with members of the Youth Commission, and specifically, we're talking about doing a Juneteenth celebration, something we talked about. And as much as I like talking, I really like action, and there's certain things. So I'd like to start maybe looking at some of the things we've suggested and ways to actually implement things. There's such energy and passion with this group of young, students that I'd like to, if not this next meeting, then the meeting after, because a lot of them are seniors, and unfortunately, they can't wait like we can to keep discussing things. And I think it'd be excellent if we could have a celebration to do something that has come out of our partnership here at the Reparations Study Commission and our Youth Commission.
I think that's awesome. I think when we talk about budget, let's also talk about let's work on approving Juneteenth.
Yeah. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I just added that under sort of the implementation piece, because that is one of the things. There's several pieces that I know people, sort of tangible items in terms of some of those recommendations, implementation, and Juneteenth has come across in a number of ways, between the Northampton Interfaith Rounds Table, whatever, I can't think, and NIRR, it's getting late. And the Youth Commission, so I think that is definitely something that needs to be moved towards the front of the agenda so that we can get through that as well.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So we have approximately 14 minutes left, so I would like to open it up to public comment if commissioners don't have anything else to add.
We ask the public for the public comment, please limit yourself to those 5 minutes if possible, so that everyone has a chance to speak. Because we've got people in the room, we've got people online. I see you've already turned on your cameras. Yeah. Do we? Where? I can't see.
Oh, Jada. Oh. Okay.
Acknowledge.
Okay, I want to acknowledge Jada, and then Quaverly is on deck. Oh, Caroline, I'm sorry, I couldn't see the hand up. So Caroline, Joella, Jada on deck, and then Quaverly.
Hello, guys. It's really nice to be here.
Oh, Jada, I'm so sorry. I did not see Caroline's hand up first.
Oh, fine.
And so we'll go Caroline, Jada,
Won't be long.
Quaverly.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
Caroline.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carolyn Toll Oppenheim. I think I have to say I live at 3 Montview Avenue, Northampton. So what I want to say is I want you guys to get an email for yourselves as commissioners. I wanted to send you all something and I had to try to dig up. So you all have an email from me, and I sent you a copy of the column that was in today's Gazette by Tolly Jones. And for
Yes, I
those
saw
of
that.
you who do not know her, Tolly Jones is a regular columnist. She's a Black woman who writes in a Black voice. I mean, that's her beat and she's angry. And she writes about things that are reasonable to be angry about and the column today, I think, is really important for the commission to see, because she's talking about a really devious real estate scam affecting Black people. I think it takes us back to looking at nefarious real estate practices that are sort of the Jim Crow of the North. And I'm hoping very much that you will get back to that. And I would love to urge you to invite her to come speak to the commission. She could have applied, because it would have been open to East Hampton people, because it said in the language that East Hampton is part of people who come here and work and so forth, but she doesn't do stuff like that. we had a committee that I was on that got the ordinance to create your commission, and we tried very, very hard to get Tali to be on our committee, and she would not do it. But she might come and speak to you. And I think she has a wealth of knowledge from years and years of writing about all the nooks and crannies and skullduggery and discrimination and difficulties for Black people in Northampton. She's an encyclopedia of this stuff. And I beg you to use her as a resource if you can get her to come. And that's, and the one other thing I would say is there is one book that I would urge everybody to get. You can buy it used, so you can write it up. It's called, oh my God, why am I having a senior moment online? It's by Richard Rothstein, The Color of Law. Richard Ta-Nehisi Coates, who wrote the major article on reparations that kicked it all off in modern times, credits this guy, Richard Rothstein, with teaching him everything he knew about what was going on underneath. It's paperback. You can get it cheap, $5 from used books online. The Color of Law, and it really outlines the kinds of things y'all should be looking for here in Northampton. So thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell me your name again.
Andrea.
Andrea, I'll have, just because I told Jada and Quaverly, and then I'll have you go. Is that okay?
I'm gonna have to leave.
All right.
Do you alternate room and?
Room, and I think that's fair. Yeah, room and online.
Okay, so I acknowledge Andrea, and then we'll have Joella and Quaverly on deck.
Okay. Sorry? Yeah? I'm Andrea Reber, Franklin Street, and I'm a member of NIRR. I heard you mention it, but I didn't get the context. Northampton Interfaith Reparations Roundtable. And in our meeting yesterday, I agreed to be the liaison between the commission and the NIRR. I know Judy Wish was sort of doing that too, but I'm sort of officially willing to do it since I come to all these meetings anyway.
Yay.
So I'm happy about that. And I guess our role is to support you in whatever ways we can. And I'm not sure what those would be, what we can do since we're not on the commission. And maybe that's a question you could ask Alan Seawald. What we have an offer for support from this group, how can we use them? And we can certainly keep you informed of things we're doing, such as we're starting to look at Juneteenth, what we might do citywide for that, and whether we can begin to explore the possibility of putting up an additional sign about giving additional information about Jonathan Edwards. 'Cause the sign that exists is not the whole story. So that's it. Thank you.
Joella, Jada?
Hello, everyone. I'm going to put my clock on because I tend to go on tangents. But firstly, this may be my second time at all that I've been to these committee, and I'm glad to be here. I'm sorry I got the time mixed up, so I apologize for that. There were a couple of things that you talked about that I wanted to mention. Two things actually. Historic Northampton. I volunteered in that exhibit, Slavery and Freedom in Northampton, and it was pretty powerful. And actually, it was so powerful, I think I called both Commissioner Perry and Felicia. Commissioner Felicia, like, this is amazing, guys. I just felt like I was transported and ancestors are there with me. And it's interesting Most of them I knew of because when we had our Juneteenth Jubilee here at the Savo House, the Walter Savo House, um, I I read their stories. So to let the Juneteenth wasn't just an event for the South because I'm from Texas. It is something to deal with the slavery, enslaved people here, and it was pretty powerful. So I just want to say again, I got a little reading thing, so I don't go off tangent. Um, I made it a point to bring history into celebration. I personally read aloud the slave narratives from historic Northampton's exhibit, but I also saw a play, a three-person, not three-person play, a different trilogy of plays, and it talked about in particular Edwards and his maid slave Rose and her free. It was just amazing.
Thank you. That was my play.
Who?
Jasmine. Up here.
Oh, hi. Yes, hi. I was part of the discussion afterwards. Do you remember? It was just powerful. And at the very end, when Rose came, she says, "We're going to get through," and I just like leaped up and hugged her. So it's really powerful. And I just wanted to say, I think it was Garrett talking about young people wanting to do something for Juneteenth. I said, because I'm from the South, we called it before it was Juneteenth, it was called Negroes Freedom Day. So for us, it was going out to the park, gathering. It didn't matter if you didn't have any food, you get whatever you had, and people would make a delicacy out of it. We'd go out to the park or to the lake, and and that would be the beginning of our family reunions. And family reunions for folks in the South, it's even, I hate to say it this way, more important than Thanksgiving. It's like you get there. I don't care if it's 130 degrees. You should get there. And that's the start. Because as I know from my grandmother who raised me, people after when freedom came, Emancipation Day, they would go from plantation to plantation, former plantation, looking for their kin. So I wanted to bring that. And I'm real sensitive about that, actually, Juneteenth. And I couldn't believe that we first made it a state. And then, a year later, it became a federal holiday. So I think it's important. I personally think we should have a parade because we have it in the South. We have Miss Juneteenth, and I don't mind being the first. I've already practiced my wave, Queen's wave. I think we should have it. I mean, we have the Doozy Doo parade. We have Miss Colleen. This is something that we could have that we do. And personally, being a Southerner, I would love a parade to come where you have the marching bands from the South, the historically Black colleges. That is celebrations. If
We're
you
at
seen the
time.
drum major and come in, I mean, that will get everybody off their feet instead of that YMCA and Doozy Doo
You
song.
gotta
But
finish up,
anyway,
wrap up this sentence,
oh,
Joelle.
okay. So told y'all. So anyway, I think that that's really great. I want to support in any way I can, and I think that it is a great idea, and I hope to see it done. And I actually do very much appreciate this commission. I think it's very, very important, guys. I hope we can all come together and see the benefit of principles before personalities, and we can work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Waverly.
Thanks, Felicia. Can you hear me okay? You guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, thanks. So I want to give you some feedback on tonight's meeting and what I'm hearing as the Ward 3 City Councilor. Very concerned with democracy, right? Wanting to build democracy in Northampton, if we can. That's a great experiment. When you opened with the discussion about non-hostile, non-toxic collaborative behavior, I was very concerned, right? Because it tends towards limiting speech, limiting the struggle over values, the divisiveness that is inherent and required of politics. You move on to respect, that we will all respect each other. Obviously, lots of people come from a culture where respect is earned, right? And certainly I don't feel respect for Garrick or Bill or Marissa when I watch their actions. And I think that Garrick, Bill, and Marissa probably don't respect Renika and Marcia, vice versa. I don't think that's required for democracy. I think for them to put forth their values and to struggle for them is key. And for the group together to decide what they want to do. For example, when you were talking about the budget and whether or not Marcia could go or Renika could go to Evanston, there wasn't a discussion about whether the value of that Evanston conference was important to this group. There was a discussion about bureaucratic procedures, right? The system is becoming more important than the value. When you make yourselves conform to these systems, you become something that you probably don't want to be, right? Like Felicia, you talk in one of your papers about students needing to struggle against their own institutions. And I know that you mentored them and understand them and support that with your scholarship, with your time. And yet you're sitting here today as that institution for Northampton, for Marcia, for Renika. When Marcia brought up the issue about transparency and not wanting there to be any deals made privately, Jasmine turned it into language that actually said commissioners wouldn't meet with each other, right? Which really would have limited Marcia's freedom to talk to Renika. And when she said, no, I'm talking about what Bill did with the banks, right? Working with Marissa to get a lawyer, to get records about racist covenants, and then to withhold that from the committee, withhold those deeds as a favor to the banks to break the news to them quietly. That wasn't aligned with Marcia's values. That was an agenda. That wasn't the agenda of the Reparations Committee. And that's what she was talking about. And then Felicia, you said she personally attacked Bill by bringing this up, but really that's a personal attack on Marcia to talk to her, to condescend her that way, right? These systems don't make sense. We can't come up with just a blanket list of rules that tell us how we're going to conduct ourselves. The conduct is not what is important. Would it be nice if Garrett could say more than, yeah, I'll try not to roll my eyes? Sure, but he probably can't. Would it be nice if he could say, yeah, I'll be transparent? Sure, but he probably can't. That's not as important as the body deciding whether they want to uphold accountability, whether they speak out when someone is disrespectful, whether they require transparency. Even when you look at your...
And with that, I believe that we are past time. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. We do have to, call for an adjournment.
I'd like to finish my
And-
sentence, which is what we typically do in public meetings.
Okay, make this the final one then.
Even when you look at your statement, Felicia, that it was an unauthorized email by Sage, I want you to go home and ask yourself,
Well,
unauthorized according to whom?
you.
To you or to the mayor?
All right, thank you everyone who spoke. We are going to close out this meeting. Felicia, can I ask you to go down the list of people?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh yeah, motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, I'm hungry.
I second that emotion.
Thank you.
Right. Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Sedan,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodspeed.
Yes.
And I also am in agreement with adjourning. So we thank you for this evening. We hope you all have a well evening, a safe evening, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.